When we think of different modes of healing, we often get lost in translation. A lot of times we get caught up in dogma, we get caught up in thoughts, and we get caught up in opinions. But the whole purpose of healing is there's one purpose, and that purpose is to get us back to the recognition of the source code within us, because we all have source code within us. And by source code, I mean that supreme being. Maybe some people call it God, some people call it the universe, some people call it the all, some people call it the one. But what I'm saying is that we all have it within us, and the purpose of these healing modems is to get us back to the knowledge of source code. And when I say healing modems, I'm talking about any type of spirituality, any type of meditation, any type of even therapy, medicine. All these different types of healing modems are to get us back to the knowledge of source code within us. Think about it. When you get healed, when you go, like for instance, when we go to an herbalist, you go to the herbalist, they give you you tell them what's wrong with you, they diagnose you, they give you medicine, you go back, you take that medicine, you get healed. What do you do after that? That's my whole point. That's the whole point of healing. The thing that you do after that is what matters. Are you going to go back and tell others about the this healing that you received? Are you going to go back and try to learn and heal others? How are you going to affect the world? How are you going to affect the source code that's in you, and not only in you but around you? Because source code is all around us. A lot of times we get lost in um looking good. We get lost in even feeling good, but the point is not to feel good. The point is to benefit the source code around us. The point is to benefit the all. This is just going back to those hermetic principles that a lot of people um claim to know. I've just recently been studying the hermetic principles for about the last year, I would say. And I think they really impacted my life in a major way. Um with the first principle being that the all is mental. This is a world based on mentalism. That's not to say that the world isn't physical. That's not to say that our physical lives aren't real. That's to say that the way we perceive our physical lives depends on our mental. Meaning, something that you perceive as bad could be someone's blessing. You could have just lost a job, and that could be the end of the world, but another person could see it as an opportunity to either get a better job or to go be an entrepreneur. There's so many opportunities in this world, and I think that a lot of times we get distracted. That's another. I wrote a lot of things down today. But that's another one thing I wanted to talk about is the whole point of propaganda is to get us distracted, is to get us off of the source code that's in us, because the source code that's in us is our source of healing. The source code in us is our source of creativity. The source code in us is our source of wealth. Because if you tap into that source code, you get all the ideas in the world. You get all the you get all the knowledge in the world. Your knowledge is universal. That's why sometimes you can be learning something and you feel like you already knew it. You just didn't know how to put it into words. Knowledge is universal. So I think a lot of times we get caught up in translation. We get caught up in um who's right and who's wrong, when the whole question we should be asking is, how did we how did we end up in two different places in the world, two different religions, but we kind of came to similar conclusions. We just kind of came about it different ways. We might one might pray 5 times a day, the other might celebrate Shabbat. Like, there's different things, but at the end of the day, the whole point of it is to get us back to source code. And with propaganda, a lot of times in America, and not just America, but it's just Western world, period, with propaganda is so heavily ingrained in our lifestyle that we don't realize how much it's affecting us. The whole point of propaganda is to get us off of source code. The whole point of propaganda is to get us out of knowledge of self. Because if I can get control of your mind, then I've already won. I've won. But the thing is, they won the battle. They haven't won the war. So when you feel yourself, when you realize that, oh, you've lost the battle, you've been distracted for a little while, don't be defeated. That's another way they get you down, is getting you defeated for a long time. But the whole point of propaganda is to get you off of source code. And my whole thing, and my whole point in this video is that source code is your power. The source code that lives within you is where you can get anything that you need, anything that you need. I'm telling you, that's where your intuition lies. Your intuition is your internet. The internet, I've seen this. There's a woman named Miriam Hasna on social media, but she's a very intuitive woman. But she said that the internet mocks our our innate spiritual gifts, and I've been thinking about that for a long time. If you really think about it, our intuition is the reason why sometimes we could be thinking about somebody and then they all of a sudden call us, or we could be or somebody could be talking about us and then we have a dream about them, or we could be talking about somebody and they could have a dream about us. You know that we're all connected, and that's the point of this source code. The point of source code, the point of knowing about source code is to tap you into your power. They do not want you to know about your power. I'm telling you, that is the whole point of all these distractions with the politics. I'm saying politics is important, but the when you start to let it rule your life, that's when it's a distraction, you know. So my whole point in saying this is that we have the power within us. One of the things I wrote down is we have the power to self-soothe. I really think that a lot of people could benefit from therapy. I've been in therapy for a minute now. But I think a lot of people just get they go too hard with it. But I do think we have a lot of people could benefit from therapy, because in therapy they teach you that you have the power to self-soothe. They teach you these grounded techniques, which obviously we know that they took it a lot of this knowledge from Eastern spiritual traditions. But I just think it's great that a lot of times they teach you this. But in therapy they teach you that you have the power to self-soothe. And I just want people to realize that when you get distracted, when you realize, oh, I've been letting this thing control me, I've been letting it control my thoughts, my emotions, my even my physical. I think that people need to realize that people need to pause. People need to sit down, take a deep breather, and then just do some meditation, and then get back into knowledge of self, get back into knowledge of source code. Because once you get back into knowledge of source code, everything that you need is within you. You can tap into it and bring it out, you know. And that's the whole point of really my channel. This is my first video really on this channel. I've been on YouTube before, but this is my channel where I'm just going to really tap into my being. See how we got distractions, you know. We are just talking about distractions, but and thank God it's off. But um yeah, the whole point of source code, the whole point of knowledge of source code is to know that you have the ability to heal yourself. But that doesn't mean that you should keep it to yourself. You know, we should all share. I feel like we all have the ability to benefit one another. You know. And yeah, what's something else that I wrote down? My one of the things I wrote down is, how are we contributing to the web of life? Some people call it life period, but I call it the web of life, because we're all connected. How are we contributing to the web of life? With me, I like to write a lot. You know, I like to write a lot. Um, but I also feel like I have gifts with speech, with intuition. So with my YouTube and with just my social media in general, my whole point in making these videos is to get people to know themselves, because once you know yourself, you can conquer the world. That's one thing I've been realizing. One thing I've been really not trying. I've been really spending a lot these last couple years knowing myself, or trying to know myself, and I really feel like what I know the path that I have to take in order to be successful in this life, or what I define as successful. You might not define it as successful, but what I define as successful, I feel like I can achieve it now. And so I feel like being creative, is something that um is going to take me to where I need to be. I'm not trying to be the richest man in the world. I'm not trying to be the most knowledgeable. I'm just trying to be the man that has wisdom, which is applied knowledge. I'm trying to apply the knowledge that I get, the knowledge that's within me, the knowledge that I'm tapping into when I'm having these conversations with my people, when I'm having conversations with strangers who are on the same wavelength as me, you know. So yeah, my whole point in this YouTube is to really get people to know themselves. I really want people to just tap into themselves. I want people to tap into each other as well, because I don't believe in individualism. It's cool to be an individual, but we have to have community. At the end of the day, we are communal beings. You know, we are ethereal communal beings who have source code within us. So I think that we just have to know um who we are, and yeah, tap in with me, y'all. Peace.